Hey, welcome back to Close It Now. Sam Wakefield here. I am excited and I'm so glad you're here listening for a very special episode. This is a celebration episode. I've got some really killer sales content for you. We're going to talk about the three T's, the killer T's. And then I've got a bonus for you as well. I've got a bonus, a word track that is guaranteed to get results. So stick around. They're going to be fire. And but before we get into that, let's start this episode off with talking about what episode this is. Right? Is it okay with you? Raise your hand if it's okay with you if I share a little bit of my journey, because it has been a not an overnight thing to get here, and we can talk about what is going on in the world of Close It Now for a minute before we get into the sales things. And so, welcome everyone to episode 200. This is episode 200. I know that it has been a while getting here. And, one of the first things is, when you set a goal for yourself and when you focus on achieving that, sometimes we have this idea of like, oh my gosh, it's going to take forever to get there, right? You take a drink out of my cup. We'll go over what's in your cup here in a minute. But before we do, it's a journey getting there, right? So when I started this podcast, when I started Close It Now, the coaching and sales training company that we have, the sales training systems, I never had any idea. So it's kind of funny. It's actually the two sides of the same coin. One, I didn't know specifically how big it was going to go or where it was going to go or just where people were going to listen to the podcast or any of those kind of things. However, I am living proof that the law of attraction works, that the power of manifesting, visualizing your future and focusing on that and having consistent, disciplined, persistent action across an extended period of time will send you where you want to go. Once you establish this is what I want to do, the universe works all night long on your behalf for you. So somebody needs to hear that today. If it doesn't seem like things are manifesting, keep at it. They will, right? So, but let's talk about this, right? When I started this in 2019, right? It was April of 2019. So we are 2 months away for the 6 year anniversary of Close It Now, the Close It Now podcast, and the Close It Now sales training and sales training and coaching. And of course, at this point, it's grown. I'll cover a little bit of how it's grown, more than just sales training. But this is 2025. I'm recording this on Tuesday, February 11th, which is it's actually going to post this day. So we are recording in live and editing and everything on the spot. So, but when it started 6 years ago, I had a vision. The reason I started the company is that okay if I give you some history here? Because this is important. There's lots of things that are cool in life, but the reason I started this company is we'd brought on two people in our team here in Austin, Texas, and we were needing to get some sales training, get them up to speed with the industry. Neither one was in the industry, so we shipped them off to a pretty famous training facility, and they came back. And I'm not, of course, not going to mention any names. I don't want to push anybody under the bus because I love everybody. Everybody needs help. All the, lots of the different training organizations and places, they've been around, they've been successful for a long time. The problem is exactly what I discovered when they came back from the training. We spent thousands of dollars for them, sent them up there, and they came back with they're super proud to show off the book of their slides, right? And they came back and they showed me the slides, and I'm thumbing through them. I'm like, wait a minute, wait. These are the exact same slideshow from when I took the class 10 years prior, right? 10 years before that, right? So in 2006, right? 2006, 7, 8, 10. I mean, all of those years, I was taking, it was wild, right? So actually moving back, no, it wasn't even that. It wasn't 10 years prior. So let's get real here. salespeople like to stretch the truth. Here's a good example. I was saying 10 years, but honestly, it's not. I did the math. It was 6 years before that. But the point is, same slide deck from when I had taken the course that many years before that. So I was like, man, no, and it was dated content at the time. So it was, I was like, guys, throw this in the trash. It was actually wasn't guys, it was a gentleman and a lady. So Dan and and Kelly. So Dan and Kelly Mullen, and I mean, they're not related. Dan Gerard and Kelly Mullen. They were killer rock stars on my team back then. If you're listening, y'all, I know that Kelly, you listened. So, one of the best women salespeople in the trades that I've ever seen in my life. But both of them are rock stars, but they weren't necessarily until they came back from that training. And I was like, guys, throw those books in the trash. Let me just park you in my truck. And so I took them around. We spent a couple weeks together. And that's when I started writing the Close It Now sales system. That's when I started writing the training, the process for it was strictly for my team at the time. And, it wasn't 3 months. And holy cow, both of them were rivaling my numbers, which was exciting. The only competition I've ever lost in my entire career, it was right to the last second. The owner of the company had put down this challenge. It was $5,000 in cash money to the person who sold the most for. I want to say it was either June or July. It might have been July in that year, and it was so close. But the kicker was we had to sell at I want to say it was 300K to even qualify in the competition. There were six of us on the team, so anybody could qualify. And so both of us rounded up the. This is back in, 2020, and this is the middle of 2020, right before things really started kicking off. And so I think both of us rounded up the month right around 500K or so, but it was neck and neck. It was super freaking close. And I thought I had it in the bag. And last day of the month, it was like 11:50. He puts another job in to take it over the line. So ended up, we get into the boss's office. So what's up, Joe, if you're listening? And we decided to, it didn't have to, but here's the fun challenge we had going. We were the entire month, we had made a bet that the winner pays for the loser to go out to dinner. We were going out to a really nice steakhouse, a chop house, 5-star experience with our plus ones, with our wives. But the bet was the winner has to pay for the loser, gets to pay for the loser, and the loser has to just enjoy, right? So eat the whole month. We're egging each other on and gigging each other with, man, isn't it going to be great when I'm buying you drinks? Isn't it going to be awesome when I'm paying for the appetizers? No, no, no. I'm paying for your steak, right? You're going to order the most expensive thing on the menu and I'm paying for it. So that was a challenge, right? So it made it fun. It was great. So sure enough, like 15 minutes before midnight, he slides a project in to take him over the line. And so the only competition I've ever lost in my whole career was that one. And so sure enough, we went out to this place called Austin Land and Cattle and had a really great meal and a great evening, and it was a blast. But that's the origins of Close It Now, right? I wrote it for my team. And then as I was training, I realized that, you know what? If these people need to hear what I'm training, then I'm sure somebody else does. So, when you go back and listen to those first episodes, I'm just driving down the road talking into my voice memo and then recording it later. So you'll hear all kind of times when it's raining and you hear the blinker and the windshield wipers. And there was one time specifically, somebody came into my lane and was like, I'm talking along, doing the training. It's like, whoa, somebody just almost ran me off the road. They came into my lane. And then I keep going, right? So you hear all of that in those original recordings, and it's really fun. So go back and listen to them. They're definitely binge worthy. I know a lot of people have given me massive, massive, reviews and just comments about, man, I learned so much from the podcast. It's incredible. So go back and do that. But the whole point is, most people don't like resources; they like resourcefulness. I had no idea about podcasting. I had no idea what I was doing. All I knew is there was an app that said, "Hey, you can podcast for free. Just upload your voice memo right here," and it put it out. Right. There used to be an app called Anchor that Spotify actually eventually bought, and that's what the Spotify podcast platform is based on now. And so it was wild. But from that original April event, I went to an event and paid a lot of money to go to an event called Train the Trainer to learn how to be a trainer. When you invest in yourself, it grows and multiplies. You can never lose your own investment into yourself. So that's when I started the podcast, and just you know across time, if you it was 6 months before I even had my first coaching client, right? And then my very first coaching client was a guy named Mark Portuese in Chicago. So big shout out to Mark. He owns On the Mark Heating and Cooling, and he is an incredible person, incredible operator. He was my very first coaching client. So we been, and here's how fun it is too. We had one session together. He had, in 3 years of owning his business, had never sold over a single stage, 16 SEER heating and air system. We did one session. I was like, man, let's fix that. Showed him how to present equipment. Same day, he goes out and sells his very first variable speed system for $19,500. It blew his ever loving mind. And of course, he was like, dude, this is incredible. And of course, now he does it all the time, because who you believe you are creates your identity, and your identity creates your outcomes. Remember that from a few episodes ago. And so that's the power of the coaching, right? That when I work with someone in coaching, that they all of a sudden do things they never thought were possible, uh, easy, because sales should be easy. And so that started the coaching journey. So that was in 2019. And so fast forward, we did a lot of virtual for a while, but obviously for a couple of years there for obvious reasons with COVID and with the pandemic. And it's been such a wild journey. And I never realized that, especially a year and a half ago, when most people say, oh, he just jumped on the scene. Well, no, I've been at this a while, right? This is year 2025 is actually year 19 for me in the heating and air industry and the home services. And, it's like a 19-year overnight success story, they call it. But so where the podcast has gone, where things have gone, I never realized that, Spotify said this last year that this show was listened to in 71 countries. And, it just blew my mind. And it's now a top 2% of podcasts listened to globally. So as many podcasts are out there, I'm in the top 2% of shows around the world, which is incredible. And I'm so grateful to every single one of you that has been a part of this journey along the way. Those of you, Chris Sheeny, Tom Spall, Victor, Johnny, everybody that has coached with us, Patrick and Austin and Christian, my boys, Lucas, everybody, right? Josh Baca, all of you guys. I'm so grateful for every single one of you that have coached with us along the way, that we developed friendships and relationships. And so this episode is for you. This episode is for all of you all of your first time listeners and who have listened for a long time. So much is going to be happening this year in 2025. You're going to see me everywhere. So many launches, doing a lot of stuff. So thank you all. Thank you all for every single thing that has contributed to the success of the Close It Now podcast and sales training and now, training systems. And so I am so grateful for every single one of you. So I want to take a minute and cover that first, because episode 200, that's no small feat, right? That's a lot of episodes, especially since, on average, since May of 2024, I've released on average 2 episodes a week. So ideally, the release rate, I've changed the solo podcasts now drop on Tuesdays, because you know me, if everyone does one thing, I have to do something else. Well, as it turns out, a lot of the big name, podcasts in the trades they release on Mondays. Looking at you, Brian and Nate, waste no day. So I'm releasing on Tuesdays now. So when everybody goes left, I'm going to go right. That's what we do. That's how you differentiate in your market. Do something else. Don't say, "Well, I did it first." Okay, well, who cares, right? So Tuesdays the solo podcast uh, releases, and then on Fridays we have the interview podcast, which I would love for everybody that's been listening. I would love to know, love to hear your big takeaways from the four-part series we just did on roots and wings with Jimmy J's. So shout out to Jimmy. He's been my business coach along the way, but man, that is the heartbeat of Close It Now, is helping you become someone worth buying from. Means fixing things at home, right? Fixing your relationships with your kids, with your spouse, with your partners, with your parents, with your brothers and sisters, then with your coworkers, and your nutrition and your fitness and your personal growth and your spiritual journeys, right? All of those things, those are the important things when it takes to be someone worth buying from. So I'd love to know your takeaways. So go join the Facebook group and or leave me a review. I would love to hear a review. Go to Apple Podcasts or to Google. Love to have a review on some of the shows on there. So leave me some 5-star reviews, and you know how this works. If I read your review on an episode and you hear it, message me for a free 1-hour coaching session. Most people that have those say they get more out of their 1-hour coaching session than they've gotten in years at being at their company. So let's get into some things. So first of all, we got to do what's in your cup, because that is what we do here. So today, of course, again, I'm drinking out of my Failures Not an Option NASA mug. And today we have some Earl Grey tea. So what is in your cup today? I want to know. For all of you around the world, if you drink tea or coffee, I love coffee too. Tea or coffee, what are you drinking? Is there anything you recommend? I do. I do love when people send me coffee beans or tea or anything like that. You'll get massive shout out on the show. And at this point in the journey, the company's grown enough. We've got some swag. So, you send me a gift, I will send you a gift. So that's how this works. But so join the Close It Now Facebook group. Pop me a message, sam@closeitnow.net, and we can chop it up a little bit. Let me know what you're drinking in your cups. Right now, this is Earl Grey with a little bit of cream and sugar. So 3, 2, 1. Let's all take a sip together to celebrate 200 episodes. All right. Now let's get into some content. So I've got something special for y'all today. There are some times in our appointments, and these actually are word tracks that work for all kind of things in life. So we're gonna get into these. And oh, last thing, I have to mention the boot camp, the Close It Now boot camp, right? Close It Now. The title of it is Relentless: The Ultimate Sales Transformation, right? You can find more about it at Close It. Actually, we don't have more about it yet. I'm literally meeting with event planners and talking to them this week about getting this thing scheduled. But here's the details. It's April 29th, 30th, and May 1st in Boston, Massachusetts. It is going to be 3 full days of intensity. We're going to role play. We're going to teach you the Close It Now sales system, the same process that Austin in New York just used to in January. He closed $1.1 million in January in New York out of 96 appointments, right? He is a beast. Also, he's going to be on the show soon, so we're going to talk about exactly how he did it, where his mindset was, and the things that he was doing to accomplish that. Same sales process, same sales system. We're going to teach you at this event. So not only that, we've got a couple just insanely high-level guest speakers. I've got one of the guest speakers, man. He's worked with companies like NASCAR. He's worked with Tony Robbins. He's worked with, you name it, literally thousands of companies. He has grown and sold over 30 companies in his career. And I'm honored that I've built a relationship with him. He's going to be speaking at the event. We got some other rock stars. Jonathan Neves, if you know him, up at Green Energy Mechanical. He's basically our boots on the ground hosting the event in Boston. That's where his company is. And if you've never heard him speak, he is a fire breather, right? He's just, well, him and I think, share a brain cell when it comes to permission-based selling and NLP techniques and those kind of things. And so he's going to be speaking. So, but mostly it's going to be yours truly. We get to spend 3 full days together, and I'm going to help you get to that next level, become that person worth buying from. And we're going to deep dive into the things that will not only get you to the next level with your life, but also, of course, sales numbers explode. You'd be like Patrick. Took him through this content over in Raleigh, and his average ticket goes from 9,000 to 16,000, and has stayed there for over a year now. So that's what happens when people learn and implement the process and the system, and give consistent, persistent, disciplined action consistently over time. So closeitnowbootcamp.com. There are still 6 buy one get one free tickets left. Message me. I heard that I had a link that was BOGO, right? I had a link in there, a coupon code. I did hear that that was having some issues with some people. So if you have issues with the coupon code now is BOGO, just BOGO. Um, if you have problems with that, message me directly, sam@closeitnow.net, and we can manually put it in and make sure that you get those half price tickets. But there's only 6 more. So if you don't get those, then you get what you get. So that means that, but either way, honestly, it doesn't matter. It's going to be off the charts on value. So you're going to come back in and close one deal that you wouldn't have and pay for the thing. So it's not like it's insanely expensive or anything. So let's get into some content today, because this is important. First of all, I want to cover the 3 T's with you today. There are 3 T's, 3 word tracks, 3 expressions that you can use for almost anything. The first one is when we have complaints or issues or concerns or anything coming from the homeowner. So the first one is, that's no problem. That's really no problem. That's no problem. So it's different than just saying, when something comes up, it's different than just saying, hey, that's no problem. That is white noise. The powerful part of this is adding the second part to it. So that's no problem. That's really no problem is emphasizes, and it's really cool what happens in the brain. It actually cuts right through the white noise and right through the fog by repeating the same thing, like right against itself. All of a sudden, the repetition now it pierces that smoke screen in the homeowner's mind, and they actually hear you. They will listen. It takes them off guard to use this sentence. That's no problem. That's really no problem. And then they just open right up. It's really, really, really cool. So the first one is, that's no problem. That's really no problem. The second one is, that's exactly why. So in so many of the conversations that we have, one of the things that we talk about often is how to reframe the conversation. Framing the conversation is everything. If you have never read the book called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff, I highly, highly recommend it. In fact, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to make a note right now. I'm going to reach out to him and see if we can get him on the show, because I talk about his book so dang often. I should get him on the podcast and, see if I can get him on the show. So if anyone knows him or knows how to contact him, I would appreciate an introduction. I'll reach into my circles and see if I can get a hold of the guy. But Oren Klaff, his book is called Pitch Anything. I highly recommend it. In fact, this year, one of my intentions is to start back up the Close It Now book club, which we did a few sessions, but God, life was crazy and bandwidth. I just didn't have time to keep it going. But my intention is to restart the Close It Now book club in 2025, and this is definitely going to be one of the books on the list. So, framing the conversation is important. Remember, if you don't remember, go back and listen to the 3 bids training I did, or in the Facebook group, just search 3 bids within the Facebook group, and the training video will come right up. But in that conversation, so for example, we have to reframe certain parts of our conversation. We have to continue to reframe our appointment. The homeowner will try to set a different frame of the conversation. So a good example of this is at the beginning of the appointment, when you hear 3 bids objection come up, which usually sounds like, it can be like right when you're walking in the door. A lot of times it's usually when they hit you with it and like, hey, the hands up and they're like, hey, you just want to be transparent with you. I'm going to be getting 3 bids on this thing. I'm not buying anything today. So what's happening? So let's walk through the timeline. They called us, right? They are seeking us out. We show up, and then what's happening? They're trying to give us what's called the takeaway. They're trying to reframe it and make them the prize and make us chase them and beg them for the work and earn the work, right? We got to earn it. But all that we have to do is reframe the conversation back to where it originally started. So, of course, if you want to know that training, go back and listen to that episode. But that's what we're doing when we're reframing the conversation with the 3 bids objection, or just about any objection handling is reframing the conversation. There's so many times we reframe the conversation. So that's why that's exactly why is such a good line. It could be that's exactly why we're here. That could be, in earlier, in fact, one of my coaching clients earlier, one of my virtual clients, we were talking about he went out to a house and the woman, it was there yesterday, right? And so this is, first part of February. She's literally selling the house in April. Selling the house in April. So less than 2 months away. She goes into, well, I'm selling the house. It's a boiler system. So we're up in Pennsylvania. Shout out to Zach. What up, Zach? Uh, Shout out to Zach up there. It's a boiler system. It needed about $2,500 in repair. So it wasn't even a sales call, you know. And for a lot of us listening, we wouldn't even roll on a call like that. She's selling the house in less than 2 months. It needs a repair. And so most people are like, oh, well, she'll just fix it. She's selling the house. She'll just fix it. Well, the service tech gets there and, offers the $2,500 repair, $2,500 US American dollars. And she just kind of raises, well, what would a new one be like? And so Zach gets over there and he has a conversation with her. And so him and I have been working on storytelling and reframing the conversation lately. So he gets over there and he listens and, you know, come to find out she's selling the house to a friend of hers. So he says, well, isn't that exactly why won't it feel good to know if this is taken care of, that you'll be passing, you won't be passing these same headaches and problems on to your friend when they buy the house? She says, you know what? I'm glad that you said that because, yeah, I don't want to pass these same problems on to somebody. He's like, and he was just kind of future casting a little bit. It's like, what would your relationship be like down the road if all of a sudden they have all these problems and things? Or on the flip side of that, with that, and I'm paraphrasing, but on the flip side of that, you know, it, sell that you'd be selling the house and your friend takes over with no problems down the road and a nice new system installed by one of the best companies in the area, and we're maintaining the warranty for it, which will also transfer. And she says, you know what? That makes more sense. So now they're just figuring out the funds on, how she's gonna pay for it, and then let the sale of the house pay the rest off. So it's cool because then she's only out of pocket for maybe a payment or so, maybe if even that, because it's mid-February. It's not even gonna First payment won't even be till probably about the time the house sells. So that's exactly why it's a perfect time to use that kind of a situation. Isn't that exactly why you should do it, right? And so that is number two. So the first one was that's no problem. That's really no problem. The second one is that's exactly why. That's exactly why we're here. Isn't that exactly why you should do it? So it just reframes the conversation. It turns it right side up again. And the third one, which I love a lot, is well, that's the best part about it, right? So again, it's another word track to reframe the conversation to be able to communicate in a way that we need people to hear, right? So many times they don't hear us the way that we're trying to communicate with them, either because our inflection is wrong and our word choice is wrong. That's why I'm such a word nerd, because every single word has meaning, right? Every word has a meaning. A lot of times, especially and it doesn't matter though your language. It doesn't matter if it's English. It doesn't matter what language you're speaking. When inflection and tonality are part of the language, it can be misunderstood. That's why only 15% of communication is the actual words. The rest is body language and tonality. And I've done this before, and I'm gonna do the sentence again because it absolutely proves the fact that you can say the same words over and over and get a whole bunch of different meanings based on how you inflect and what words you emphasize. So it's been a while back. I'm going to do this again. So let's think about this in a minute. So here's the sentence, and I'm going to say it as neutral as possible, and then I'm going to say it several more times, and I want you to listen to it and tell me how many different meanings that you get from the sentence, from the exact same sentence, right? And so this is something I learned years and years and years ago on an old Zig Ziglar recording. So shout out to the classics, right? Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, all the greats. So the sentence is, I didn't say she shot her husband. That's about as neutral as I can say it because I just have inflection in my voice. So now let's go through it a bunch of different ways, but I'm going to say the same sentence over and over. You tell me how many meanings there are. I didn't say she shot her husband. 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 Right? There's a lot of different meanings from the same handful of words, depending on how you emphasize the different words and your tonality. Now, that proves the point that what I've said for a long time is anyone who gets the same objection over and over and over, it's not your market, it's not that your clients are educated on a certain thing or not. It's probably not even your process. What it is for most people, it's the way you're saying something. Because if you're like, follow the script exactly, I follow our process to a T, and I get these results and somebody else gets different results, it could be very much the way that you're saying things, right? The inflection that you're saying. These are the things that, you know, AI, all the different AI recording things, they're not going to pick up on. This is why you can follow the script and nail it and still not get the sell when somebody else would. It's how you say things. So if you're getting an objection over and over, it's because you're planting the seed somewhere in your process for them to think about it. This is why it's so important to record your sales appointments. So you can and not only record them, actually do the work and go back and listen to them, right? Listen to yourself. See those places, right? Am I saying something differently than what I think I'm saying? Because we don't always hear our own voice in our head the way that we think we're saying it. So that's some extra there for you. But those are the big ones, right? So the 3T is, again, that's no problem. That's really no problem. Number 2 is that's exactly why. Number 3, that's the best part about it. And you can even use those together, right? Listen, that's no problem. That's really no problem. That's exactly why we're here. And the best part about it is you're going to love the outcome, right? I just stitched them together and kind of generally speaking. But that's it. Can you hear how these can be really high value word tracks in your appointments? I hope so. So those are the 3 T's. Now I mentioned a bonus. We've got a bonus here in a sec. But again, I want to talk about something super quick one more time. Just a reminder, go get your tickets for the Close It Now Bootcamp at closeitnowbootcamp.com. Go check them out. And the other thing is, I love you all. I would love a 5-star review on Google and also on Apple Podcasts. And Spotify has made a way to leave reviews and comments now too. So all 3 of those places, I would absolutely love a review. And go join the Facebook community. Go join the Facebook community, the Close It Now group. Search Close It Now. I'm everywhere. Look in the show notes. You can find the link tree, and it has all the different links to Instagram, to LinkedIn, to TikTok to YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, you actually get to see my smiling face, and the all my guests, you can actually see them as well. Because a lot of times things happen visually that we don't, that you can't always hear on the auditory podcast. So that's it. I'm so stoked about episode 200, y'all. I'm so smiley today because I can't get over the fact that, I can get over it. I knew this day was coming because I knew I had consistent discipline action. When you focus on the outcome, I knew starting this company, 6 years ago and starting the podcast, it was going to grow. My intention and my vision is to be an international speaker, right? Best-selling author. I hit the international best-selling author list this last year. So I've got at least one more book coming out this year. And if you want me to speak at your event, let me know. Who do you know at the events coming up? I want to speak at events. Get in touch with. I'd love introduction. Get me in touch with the people that book for the different events. I know there's a bunch of people at AHR right now. I am going to be at the ACCA event in Austin that's coming up in March. So if you're in ACA, definitely look me up. I'm going to be roaming around all over the place, recording. So we're going to be doing some fun stuff. My buddy Everett Lapel so I was in the house, service and sales tales. He is doing the same thing actually at AHR right now. So we're going to hook up in Austin here and do some stuff together, I'm sure. But if you're coming to ACA, let me know. Love to meet up with you and meet you in person. Okay, so the bonus. This one comes straight from Josh Baca. Actually, this is a funny story because he's given me permission to tell his story. It was years ago. He was one of my very first clients as well. We were he was in Colorado. He was in Denver at the time, and he was a selling tech. And he calls me on the phone. He messaged me and we finally connected on the phone. He said, "Bro, you got to help me. I've been listening to the podcast. It's been helping some." He's like, "I'm about to get fired. My numbers are so bad." He was the bottom in the company. So I was like, "All right, cool, man. Let's do it." So we started coaching together, and I want you all to know, here's his numbers. Well, in fact, I don't even remember his numbers, but what I do remember, 3 months later, when we're, spending an hour a week together, 3 months later, he messages me and he sends me a picture of him holding this award where he was the number one person in his company that week, right? So from almost being fired to 3 months later being the number one with his numbers in that week, and then stayed on top, right? Stayed on top. That is his story. And so it's funny because he messaged me the other day, and he's got this, like, it was either Saturday or Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday or Saturday. He's out there, he's crushing it. Huge sales. I think it was like a $25,000-$30,000 sell. But the important part was it was $5,000 more than his nearest competition. And he says he used this to close it. So here's the word track. We're not $5,000 more expensive. We're $5,000 better. Can I show you why? And of course, the homeowner said yes. And then he goes down and shows them all the reasons why they're better, right? It's funny because he reminded me that I taught him that, and I didn't even remember that I used to teach that. But that's a powerful way to handle when somebody comes to you with, "Oh, well, so and so's this much cheaper." It's easy to say, "Oh, no problem. We're not, say it's 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, whatever. It doesn't matter the number. Use that number." So in this case, we'll stay with his numbers because thank you, Josh. We're not 5,000 more expensive. We're $5,000 better. Let me show you why. And in fact, I like to make that a question, right? Can I show you why? And the homeowner's always going to say yes because they never expect you to respond like that. They expect you to say, "Well, what do they have? Let's make a comparison. I can be your person to help you look at this one versus that one." Well, that's how everybody handles that now, right? So no, just say, "Oh, no problem. Yeah, I get that all the time," right? We're not $5,000 different. We're not 5,000 more expensive. We're 5,000 better. Is it okay if I show you why? Can I show you why? And then, of course, you have to have the ammunition to back that up, right? You have to know why your company is better and then take them down the bullet points of, 5, 10, 15, 20. Just keep going. All of the reasons that you're better and your confidence and certainty and your excitement about it. And, you have to have confidence and trust in your company. You have to know the installers and how their quality of work. You have to know the things that they do. You have to stand behind it. If you're at a place where you have no confidence and trust in the guys doing the work, I would say run, go somewhere else, or take initiative and action and help them get better. One of the two. But you can't have confidence and certainty if you don't have confidence and certainty in your people. That is exactly what's going on. You've got to have you've got to have the certainty and confidence of your people. And when you do, it's so easy to close because then you're like, hey, we're not $5,000 more expensive. We're $5,000 better. Can I show you why? And so that's it. That's the word track. And so that's our episode today. So recapping the three T's, that's no problem. That's really no problem. The second one is that's exactly why. The third one, that's the best part about it. And then the bonus, thank you, Josh Baca, for reminding me of this, is we're not $5,000 more expensive. We're $5,000 better. Can I show you why? And so, yeah, gosh, I'm so grateful for every single one of you. Thank you for listening today. Remember to leave me a review. Also, go get your tickets to the Close It Now Boot Camp, April 29, 30, and May 1st in Boston, Massachusetts. It's going to be fire. And otherwise, I'm so thankful for all of you that are on this journey together with me. We are growing. I know hope, and I know you are growing. Let's do some things together. Here's a wild idea. Shoot me a message for content you want me to cover. If there's a podcast that you want to hear a topic covered, shoot me a message and let me know. Let's start a conversation there. Join the Facebook group. Let's start some conversations in there. What are your big takeaways? What have been some of the biggest things that have made a difference for you in your life? I would love to hear those, and I know the community would love to hear those as well. So now is the time, right? February 11th. This is the first day of the rest of your life. What are you going to do with it? Right? Remember, your thoughts create your beliefs create your identity, and your identity creates your outcomes. So everybody, you go out there. This is episode 200. Thanks for sticking with me. A lot more to come. Everybody go out there and be someone worth buying from.